Hyperice has finally released an updated version of their flagship product with a brand new 2.0 version of both the original and the Hypervolt Plus, which is now called the Hypervolt 2 Pro. Now I can tell you that if you already have the Plus, you probably won't need to upgrade. I mean, there might be a few of you who will want to make that upgrade, like professional athletes or physical and massage therapists, but for the vast majority of us, it won't be necessary. However, that doesn't mean that the Hypervolt 2 Pro isn't better. It is, and there are several really nice improvements which we're going to go into. And if you were thinking about upgrading from the original Hypervolt, or maybe this is your first massage gun, well, let me tell you, the Hypervolt 2 Pro is... Hey everybody, this is Colin Jenkins with Connect the Watts. And so visually, the Hypervolt 2 Pro, it's a little bit taller and a little bit longer than the Plus. They replaced the Hypervolt Plus name on the side with Hyperice. They got rid of the shinier, more plastic looking indented attachment head holder with one that is a lot smoother looking. The light ring here at the bottom is quite a bit larger and brighter than it was previously, and they've added on this metal silver end cap beneath it. And the entire handle is now oval, or what they call pill-shaped, rather than the more circular handle previously. And that's also a functionally useful change, which we'll get to in a bit. But with all these small visual changes, I do think it combines together to make the Pro look a little bit more professional and definitely a lot more modern and refined. Now, this pill-shaped handle is actually one of my favorite changes they made to the Hypervolt 2 Pro, as it's just ergonomically much more comfortable to hold on to and use, which makes a big difference if you're somebody that needs to use one of these all day for your profession. It's also got these indented lines in the rubber handle coating, which just adds to the comfort and easeability of holding on to this thing. And what also makes this a lot more comfortable is that it's almost half a pound lighter than the previous model. The Pro has a new spot for the release of the handle underneath it, and I did find that they designed it a lot easier to remove than the Plus, which you would have to pull really hard to get that handle off. The Hypervolt 2 Pro does come with the 90 volt motor, which the Plus came with as well. But what is different here is how many different settings and speeds you can use with the Hypervolt 2 Pro. Previously with the Plus, there was 3 different settings. There was level 1, which was 2,400 ppm, which is pulses per minute. Level 2 was 2,800 ppm, and level 3 was 3,200 ppm. Now with the 2 Pro, there are actually 5 different settings. Level 1 being 1,700 ppm, level 2 1,900 ppm, level 3 2,100 ppm, level 4 2,400 ppm, and capping out at level 5 with 2,700 ppm. And so it's interesting to note that the highest setting, level 5 on the 2 Pro, is actually lower than the previous Plus. And the Pro actually offers a lot more choices in the opposite direction, with levels 1, 2, and 3 all being lower than the previous lowest setting. And after using it quite a bit, I can see how this makes a lot of sense. I personally just never really found the value of going to the highest setting on the previous Plus, but I have found that the lower settings on the new 2 Pro are actually really useful, especially when working on areas that are more sensitive or sore. And I specifically like using these lower settings a lot to prepare for a workout, and I'm just trying to get certain muscle groups warmed up. Now, the dial here, which controls the levels on the 2 Pro, I do think is a lot nicer than the previous button press. Pressing the button several times to get to the right setting is okay when you only have 3 levels, but with 5 levels now, if it was still a button press, it would have gotten really annoying. So I'm really happy that they made this change over to the dial, which you can move up or down. Also on the dial is a pressure gauge, which gives you a visual 1, 2, or 3 lights based on how much pressure you are applying. This is a very useful feature for the Hypervolt when you are using the massage gun on somebody else, because it's really hard to tell how much pressure you are applying when you're not doing it to yourself unless you're a really seasoned professional. Like all Hypervolts, it comes with 5 attachment heads. The fork, bullet, and cushion heads are pretty much identical to the Plus, but the flat head I did find to be a bit more rounded than previously, and the round head just a tiny bit softer. And like before, they are easy to pop in and out and stay very secure. You don't have to worry about them loosening up or coming out or anything like that. It does come again with the same little pouch as previously with the new logo, but it still doesn't come with a case with the actual Hypervolt gun, which is something I personally wish they would include. So you might need to buy a case if you want to make sure this is really protected. The stroke length on this is 14 millimeters, which is the same on the Plus and more than most massage guns. For example, the standard Hypervolt 2 is 12 millimeters. And I like having that little bit longer stroke length just because I feel less shaky and I feel less movement when I'm actually holding on to the gun. Noise levels here is still about the same as the Plus. It's definitely not super loud at all. You can easily have conversations over it and not have it be a big distraction. Battery on the Hypervolt 2 Pro is about the same as it was previously on the Plus. They do claim that it is a little bit longer with a 3-hour battery life, whereas the previous Plus only had a 2.5-hour battery life. But I think the extended battery life comes from just having a lower setting than they had previously. But otherwise, I found the batteries to be roughly the same. The Hypervolt 2 Pro has Bluetooth so that it can connect to your phone with the Hyperice app. This I feel is a really underrated feature and one that I find very valuable, especially for those of us who prefer to follow instruction or may not know exactly how or when to use each attachment or how long to spend on each area. So if you connect to the app, there are just a ton of different routines you can choose from depending on what you want to focus on. It will also give you suggestions based on your workouts if you have it connected to Apple Health, Strava, or Garmin. And personally, I just prefer to follow their routines because I know that it's very unlikely I'll spend enough time using it if I'm just left up to my own. I'll probably skip certain areas or just not spend as much time on each part as I really should. So yeah, the Hypervolt 2 Pro, definitely some great improvements over the Hypervolt Plus. Definitely Hyperice's best massage gun yet. Not quite enough though for me to recommend this if you already have the Plus. But if you're thinking about upgrading from the original Hypervolt, or if you're just looking for your first massage gun, well, this is one of the best you can get, and it's a really good choice. Another good choice for a recovery tool made by Hyperice are the Normatec compression boots, which we also did a review on if you want to check it out here. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.